the Bible is not a wholly unique document. We need to sit with that. We need to be okay with that. That's not me trying to destroy anybody's faith. That is me saying if we want to have genuine faith, it has to be built on truth. And it has to be built on the reality that the Bible did draw on the cultures of its day. But that is not the same thing as saying that the Bible copied from those mythologies. And it certainly doesn't mean that the Bible is less important or less authoritative or less divinely inspired just because God allowed pre-existing cultural narratives from around Israel to influence the stories. We have to remember that the Bible engages in comparative mythology. It's not so much about the biblical authors copying these stories from other cultures as it is they're responding to them. Because these other stories already existed, the biblical authors came in and said, okay, you have heard how the Egyptians say the world came about. You have heard how the Babylonians say we should behave. You have heard how the Canaanites say how the gods interact with humanity. Now it's time for us to tell you our version of the story. So many of the biblical texts that are connected to other ancient literature, they tend to be polemic or reframing this common cultural inheritance between the people groups. So we do have to be careful not to make false assertions about the wholly other uniqueness of the Bible as if no other cultures had mythologies and stories of how the world works and stories of how gods interact with humanity or even stories about El or Yahweh. All those things did exist, and many of them pre-existed or came into existence around the same time as the biblical stories. But that should not scare us.